This is the announcement of Eddy's Grail card video, among the other 5 things I've already talked about. It's a long walk. What do you want from me? So, what's the card? Grail. Let's talk about Grail first off. To me, a Grail card can't be anything that's newer than, I don't know, I don't want to say that. It really bothers me when I see a card pulled out of a pack on like a clip or a short. And, oh, Grail card. Grail card. Grail card to me is something you've wanted for a long time. It fills a specific need in your collection. And you can't just go out tomorrow and buy. So those 3 things are true of my card. Just finished this book about Ty Cobb, which I highly, highly, highly recommend to anyone. If you haven't read this book, most of what you know about Ty Cobb, his character, is probably wrong or maybe a misunderstanding. And the author does a great job of backing up those wrong assumptions or just outright lies that Al Stump propagated and other people. And Ken Burns, I'm sorry, I love baseball documentary, but Ken Burns just took what he had from Al Stump and some other people and anecdotes that weren't vetted and ran with it. And that documentary helped make me a great baseball fan. But we could do without the Ty Cobb section, or at least do an addendum, make it right. Mini rant over. So, I was a fan of Ty Cobb before, but now I'm a bigger fan because I feel like I understand him a little better. And there's one set I've always loved. I only have 1 card from it currently. That's the T202 Hassan Triple Folder. And Cobb has a couple cards in it. There's only one I'm interested in. It's this one right here. And there's several reasons why I prefer this one over the other. First off, it's got his manager, Hughie Jennings, on it. And he was an interesting character just by himself. If this card was Jennings and some other guy, I might still want it. Wouldn't cost me what it's going to cost me, but I might still want it. If you've seen modern cards of Jennings, almost all of them have him. Looks like he's kind of yelling. Well, that's because he's insane. When he's coaching, he would bring with him to the third base coach's box rubber snakes, toy soldiers, wind-up toys, and he would yell, "Yeah!" at the batter repeatedly. And he did this for a long time. So a lot of the source photos for this modern cards are pictures of Jennings with his hands cupped around his mouth and stomping and screaming like a donkey. And he's in the Hall of Fame as a player, by the way. He was on the late 1800s, the great Baltimore Orioles teams. So there's that. Obviously the star of the show, Ty Cobb, on the right. And the picture in the middle is a famous, I've been calling it the first great action shot by Conlon. He's a famous baseball photographer. And that was taken at Highland Park. And that actually ties into another collection of mine that I'm kind of just now getting off the ground, which is the Glory of Their Times collection. So in that picture with Ty Cobb, that great picture, is someone named Jimmy Austin, who was featured in Glory of Their Times. And he makes some great commentary about that photo too. And most notably, or not most notably, but one thing that sticks with me is he says he has the most famous rear end in baseball, which might be true. So here you have three things that bring this card together for me. I love the artwork, I love the photo, I love the subjects, everything about it. So now the how. Now the how do I do it? And essentially how I do it is I know about how much I need to save before I can buy it. And I'm not doing anything else really, with one exception already. I'm not doing anything else really until I have that amount saved. And I've already, other than one purchase, which you'll see pretty soon from an auction house, and some of you already know about, I already have a really good start. I had some little bit of funds left over from last year and made a couple art sales and made a couple eBay sales, and I have a little allowance I take from our general fund here at the house with management's permission, of course. And then my grandmother sent me more than she typically sends me for my birthday, which hasn't even happened yet. But so I have a decent stash already, and the goal is to have what I feel like I need when I leave for the National. Or I could do it before the National. Didn't expect to be able to do this now, but was able to pull it off. In this box, I have not opened it yet, is the card. Late April, I started deciding I might have enough funds to pull this off real soon. Kept my ear to the ground looking for auctions, for listings, for sales. And one did pop up on Collector Investor Auctions in May, but it was not the right copy. It had a big blotch on it and just wasn't something that I wanted to put on my wall and appreciate forever. I would be seeing that blotch. It would have saved me a lot of money, but I didn't want that. So June rolls around. They list another one in a grade I did not think I would be able to afford, but you'll see that in a second. Before I get to this, after I open it, I am going to send you, I'm going to tag on a video from my friend Dan at Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. And he interviewed Phil Rosenzweig, the author of this book, who won the Ritter Award at Sabre for Best Pre-War Book. And this book breaks down in detail this set. So with Dan's permission, I am going to tag on the Ty Cobb, the breakdown of this card onto the end of this video. And I think it'll be a great way to bookmark this. And I'm real excited. So let's get this thing open. Like I said, I didn't expect to be able to afford this at the grade, but the way the hobby is right now, it's so hard to know what the true comps are of something. The last sale of this card in the grade in which I got it was for about $300 less than what I got it for. And given the fact that, and it was over a year old. So given the market, what it is, I feel like I probably did okay with this, but ultimately it does not matter. It's going in my forever collection. I was looking for my readers. Hold on. He's ready. I forgot what my train of thought was. I'm so excited here. Note from Jeremy, Eddy, thank you, enjoy. If you are curious about what I paid for this, you can go look at Collector Investor Auctions, completed sales for June. I'm gonna have enough time to recuperate so that I can have a good time at the National too. But here we go. You already know what it is. I don't know why I'm slow revealing it, but of course, Jeremy always does a great job on packaging. And the more excited you are, the harder it is to get things going. Come on, baby. The one thing I was going to say that I forgot. This card is going in my Glory of Their Times collection because one of the players on it, not named, Jimmy Austin, is in the book. And basically that has become a catch-all term for my pre-war collection now because there's so much intertwined. I mean, Ty Cobb's mentioned in this book 60 times and he wasn't even interviewed. So here we go. Upside down, but there it is in a 3.5. Like I said, the gray's not important, but this card is a stunner. Look at that. I'm trying to figure out if it floats a little bit. No, not really. But look at that. No weird marks that are going to distract the eye. Not important to me. I mean, not really important, but I like that there's no paper loss on the back. Super clean. It looks like at one point it might have been folded briefly down the middle, which is common for this. If people didn't fold them along the scored areas, they'd fold them in half here. So it looks like there's a little bit of a line there, but honestly, you got to squint to see it. You got to work to see it. And man, really excited to be able to pull this off. Thanks for coming along with me on the journey. I don't know if this video is too long. Skip to the end, doesn't matter to me. But I wanted to illustrate the history of why I wanted this card and the journey to get it, and just take you along with me. So, because I'm leaving you to pass you off to Dan's Vintage Baseball PC, thanks for following along. Until next time, remember, we don't count subscribers, we count friends.
And then, of course, his team didn't have much of a season. I think they finished right around 500. Yeah. But Ty Cobb was the best player, statistically in the major leagues at this point. Of course, Jennings was a highly accomplished manager and had himself been a great player. So interesting panel in the middle.
So I mentioned of the 76 different center panels, 75 photographs are little known and one is well known, and this is the one that is well known. This is probably the most famous action shot from the Deadball era, taken by Charles Conlon kneeling off of third base, and you can see the dirt flying in the air. You could do that with a shutter speed of 1/500th of a second, or actually went up to 1/1500th of a second. Conlon talked a lot about this photograph, that he was chatting with Jimmy Austin, the third baseman of the Yankees, or the Highlanders at the time. And then here's Cobb coming in from third. This is also an example where the original photograph, you see between Austin's legs in the distance, an umpire who's making this call. But this call was probably fairly easy to make from that distance because I think the ball wound up somewhere in left field. But this was a well-known photograph and is on the center panel, 75 out of 76, and it's called Ty Cobb Steals Third, and there it is. There are three versions of 75 A, B, and C. One of them has Cobb with Jennings. One of them has Cobb with Moriarty. Also a third baseman for the Tigers, and the third one has Jimmy Austin with George Stovall. Both by then had been traded to the St. Louis Browns. Right. So Jimmy Austin went from the Yankees to the Browns, Stovall from Cleveland to the Browns, and so there they are on the Browns. There are not many Browns. The other ones are the ones that you saw earlier with Wallace and Pelty and Wallace and one other I'm blocking right now.
So this is taken at Hilltop Field, I guess, in 1910, I think, or
I think it's
1909.
1910. The date was in doubt, but it's been the subject of quite a bit of research, and it's been identified. And I think it's July 1910. I describe it in the book, and I have the sources there, so we know the situation that the game when it was played. Yeah.
So the interesting thing about Cobb in 1912, and we referenced it a little bit earlier, that there was a fan in New York who I believe was also at Hilltop, haranguing him, abusing him, saying all sorts of terrible things to him. And Cobb goes into the stands, takes care of business, and gets suspended indefinitely. And his team says, we're not playing without him. He didn't do anything wrong. This guy should have been ejected from the stadium hours earlier. And that creates essentially a farce of a game where the Tigers play with a bunch of semi-pro guys and they lose by 23 runs or whatever. And then the next day they come back, and I think Cobb's suspension is 5 or 8 games, whatever it is. But that was a sort of a major event. And I think there was a problem with the captain of the team who had organized the strike. I forget who the player is, and you made reference to this, ends up getting released at the end of the season. And the belief is that because he organized the strike.
Yeah. But Frank Navin, the owner of the Tigers, came from Detroit, met with the players. Ban Johnson, the president of the American League, had done the suspension. And, I think that everybody took a step back, a little bit of diplomacy, a little bit of face saving. And so they reduced his sentence to time served, and then he was back on the field.
Right.
But he went on to have an extraordinary year. I think in those days, maybe a little bit more than today, if your team didn't do well, you might not be quite the Chalmers candidate. And so there's a reason why Tris Speaker's great year combined with the great year for the Red Sox won him the award. But Cobb had another magnificent year. I mean, he's hitting over 400 and he's stealing all these bases. And there was one road trip that he took later in the year coming back to the East Coast where he hit something like 450 over 20 games. I mean, he just was on a tear. But that was the dead ball era. Balls were in play. Fielders, whether it was the condition of the field or the gloves or the pitching, balls were put in play and found a way to be base hits. And so you had a lot of players with very high averages, and Cobb was one of them.
Yeah. So the back panel for this is the Moriarty one, but it has the Ty Cobb steals third, and again, lot of information, nicely presented with some ornate graphics for not graphics but fonts for the Hassan cork tip cigarettes, interesting, and so then.